European Union ministers have convened emergency talks for Tuesday after more than 50,000 people entered Spain's North African territory of Ceuta from Morocco. The leaders of 22 EU countries had called for a meeting, citing the need to prevent further uncontrolled crossings. At least 72 people died, many of them drowned, trying to swim around the border. The majority of those who entered the territory have now voluntarily returned to Morocco, and authorities say normality is resuming. Well, police have begun installing a 500-metre floating barrier to stop others from making their way around the border. The political fallout, though, is rippling across Europe. Spain's Prime Minister has denounced what he called the selfish attitude of some members of the European Union. It comes after Italy suspended the EU's border-free Schengen arrangements with Spain for a month. Professor Nando Sigona is Chair of International Migration and Forced Displacement at the University of Birmingham, and he joins us now. Thank you for joining us here on BBC News. Even over such a short distance, we've seen that dozens of people died in their attempt to reach Ceuta. What strikes you, though, about the characteristics of this mass movement of people across this border, which we haven't seen before?
It's a very unusual migration event, both in terms of size and speed. In terms of size, because we haven't seen anything like that. 50 people crossing in one day in Ceuta has never happened before. The largest event was about 4 years ago and involved 8,000 people in one day. The second issue is, how is it possible that such a large number of people gathered in 24 hours just across the borders of one of the most highly guarded border of Europe, which is the one in Ceuta? So there are issues with this event which make it unprecedented, but also raise question about how it's actually happened, who organized it, what moved people to do what they did. The other element which is interesting is mostly local Moroccans who crossed. In the previous events, the people that were participating were a mix involving a lot of sub-Saharan African as well, but in this case it seems to be mostly local people. And a further interesting element is this fact that the very large majority of the people returned voluntarily back to Morocco, to their homes after this event, which makes it look much more as a kind of mass protest organized by someone to strike a point than an actual attempt to migrate.
Set out, if you would, as simply as you can, what is quite a complicated background here, the diplomatic context, because it pulls in Spain, Morocco, Algeria and Western Sahara, a place that we don't talk about often.
No, and Trump as well, I will add to this picture. So about 10 days ago, the Prime Minister of Spain visited Algeria, and this was an important international sort of event because was in a sense re-establishing international relations that have been cooled down for a few years now with Algeria. And one of the topics in discussion, apart from economic collaboration, etc., was the issues of Western Sahara independence, which Algeria support, and historically Spain has been one of the supporters. Morocco obviously is on different position because consider Western Sahara as part of their own territory, and in the last few years had moved towards the position of greater autonomy of the region as part of Morocco. So one can read this event as a kind of a retaliation for Spain that moved a little bit their position again towards Algeria rather towards the Moroccan one. Another event that is back in March of this year was a call by a former collaborator of the Pentagon saying that Morocco should organize a green march or a peaceful march that would put the border into Ceuta between Spain and Morocco in crisis, which seems almost to provide the blueprint for what happened. And we also know that Trump was one of the first that came out publicly sort of attacking Spain and taking the opportunity to call for the failure of Spanish migration policy just soon after the event of the last few days.
It's a fascinating and complex picture. Thank you very much for explaining it so succinctly to us. Professor Nando Sigona from the University of Birmingham. Thank you for talking to us.